Prediction means either this can be true or that can be true. So if this is true or that is true, that is not the correct knowledge of any situation, any person, anything in the world. I'm just going a little deeper into the journey of what exactly is Shravanam and how this master is really not only genius but the way he explains. So I'm giving couple of examples. To make the point clear. Yes, now it is absent. Yes. If I say this is pen, you will never agree, even if I'm the greatest teacher. If I say this is my pen, you will never agree. So when universal definition of a thing or an object is accepted, you cannot move from there. You cannot move. That is how the knowledge takes place, even in the journey of the self-discovery. Now see, who are you? I'm son. No, I'm father. No, I'm daughter. Oh, this I has changed. So I don't have one universal accepted definition of I. I am rich. No, it depends on the other person with whom you are comparing. I has changed. I am stressed. No, I am relaxed. So sometimes I'm stressed and sometimes I'm relaxed. It means I don't know who am I. Be very clear. Be 100% clear. With a simple understanding a thing. So that is where the listening and learning comes. Do you understand without any interpretation? What do you understand? Does it change? The moment you change, give it a label false and drop it. No, I'm father. Oh, you're father, okay. And before the mother, I'm son. So that I has changed. I am good. Some people say I'm good and others say no, I'm not so good. I has changed. Universal definition, if it is applied, if it is clear, that is how our masters define the real self. They define the real self as all pervading, one consciousness, present everywhere. But I don't know. So that is why we need to listen. Eastern wisdom doesn't say that you have a Christ consciousness and Hindus have Krishna consciousness or Muslims has Prophet consciousness. No, we say it is only one consciousness. A seeker is attracted, is inspired. Oh, this is what you are talking about. Oneness, all pervading. One consciousness. So the mind interferes in between. Mind, or you can say this ego. I am son, father, rich, white, black, etc., etc. This ego. This is the I thought, which I claim I am. So this I am changes because of my memories and past experiences. Past experiences and the memories are impulsive, repeated again and again. It comes from the unconscious wrong notions and the ideas, that is where the problem comes of realizing the real self. So during the day, I should use I, good, bad, stress, relax, but internally there is an awareness. I recognize what I'm talking is true in the world outside. It is not true for me. I'm different than what I'm using. So when I'm doing this day by day, what happens, time comes, couple of weeks after I wake up in the morning, I recognize two eyes. I have to go to the restroom, false. But I have to use it. I'm taking a breakfast, false. But that internal real I remains the same, consciousness. Consciousness does not change. So as we continue to purify the mind, we reach to that level of awareness where there are two eyes constantly, concurrently, not sequentially. They are working together simultaneously. You can use the word simultaneously. They are working together. I am teaching, okay, so I'm a teacher, okay. But that consciousness is independent of being a teacher or being a student. If I am a teacher, then I am also a student. Or I was a student. So which one is the real I? No one. Now ask the question, do I have one ego or millions? We create millions of ego every day. That is the matter of confusion. That creates a wrong notion. Forget about, I'm talking about millions of ego every day. I am stressed, the next moment I am relaxed because I got a news, I'm getting $50,000 from this customer. Headache is gone. The mind says, now I will use this money. Third ego has come. It happens so fast that we lose awareness because of the supply of the past impressions. Impulsive nature is always available to me. That mind does not recognize that there is another way to live. And that is why the Eastern wisdom, that is why we need to apply these principles. There are two eyes. One eye is constantly changing, the other eye is never changing identity. That is what the real self is. We will also understand real self, Ishwar, God, Krishna, Shiva, or what exactly, why they are important. So you see, that is why Shravanam is highest, you can say, practice or highest step in the journey of the self-discovery. So this learning by listening gives us the knowledge, and again go to the knowledge. I get the knowledge if it is universally applied, it is the same. If it is the same, I have no doubt about that. This is the mouse, this cannot be the monitor, finished. This is the shirt, not the pant. No confusion. Do you see how the master says we have lot of confusion in the mind? We have lot of wrong notions about who am I. That proves it's a fact. I am a father, I have to be a good father. Two eyes have already come. Now I will prove that I am a good father. How come? Now I am angry. Now the fourth eye has come. It happens so fast that we don't recognize it. We are not aware. We lose awareness because of the misconceptions and wrong notions in our life. I read a good story. A dad was walking with his son on the street, and one cop has handcuffed the criminal, and son asked that why he was handcuffed and who are they. Now pay attention that this is what ego does to our life. So dad explained that, you see, he's a criminal and cops have a duty to guard the criminals. That's why he's handcuffed, and perhaps they are taking him to prison or the court. So after few more steps, they walked together and they saw the 5 cops were surrounded by another criminal. And the son again asked that how come these 5 cops? No, he may be a very serious criminal. That's why these 5 cops are holding him, handcuffed him, and taking him to the court. Now the son gets the knowledge. This is the knowledge. Knowledge that if anyone is handcuffed, that is one part of the knowledge. The other part of the knowledge is that the cops, if the cops is surrounding an individual, the person inside must be a criminal. Very clear? Oh yeah, that is what how our knowledge takes place in the mind. So a motorcade was passing by. After a few more steps, this dad and the son took. So there were hundreds of cops guarding the president. Now see, this is what happens. Oh, dad, cops surrounding the guy must be a deadly criminal? Dad says, shut up. He is the President of the United States. He is not a criminal. Now I'm confused. Now my knowledge has shattered. You explain to me, Dad, you explain to me this is what it means by the right knowledge. If the cop surrounds any individual, they must be criminal. But now you are saying, shut up. I'm confused. That is what happens. I'm dad, I'm father, I'm son, I'm businessman, I'm rich and I'm poor, I'm black and white, and I'm stressed, I'm relaxed, I'm calm. This is what is happening every day in our life. Many cops are surrounding me. What we are doing by Shravanam? So dad explained. Dad explained the difference. Now that is why the listening is important. Dad said in the earlier 2 incidents or cases that you saw where the cops were controlling the criminal, here the president is controlling all the cops. That is the difference. That is the beautiful difference. Oh, so now I understand. I have to see how to find the real and how to find the truth. So lot of cops surround us. They make us believe that you are the ego. We are. And that is the greatest misconception, wrong perception that we have. We use it, it's a fact. Daughter is coming and hugging me and says, Dad, I love you. So I feel my ego is elated. No, I'm definitely I'm father. But the next moment I am in front of the mother, and mother says, you are not doing the things rightly, and now I get upset. So now you see how many egos have been created. I am upset, I am happy, I am father, I am son. Millions of ego are created every day. That is why it is taking a time to realize the real self. I have to remove each and every cop one by one. We don't need you. We don't need you. And then I find that I'm always free. Is the president not free, whether he is surrounded by the cops or not? He is always free. I heard that there is a very closest layer surrounds the president, which are heavy commandos with lot of weapons. Then the second layer is FBI, third layer is the cops, fourth layer is the CIA is surrounding, and they are present in the public domain. That's why you have many motorcades are running before, front, on each side of the. That is what the ego declares, that you don't understand. I am in ego. Come on, how can I be a pure consciousness? So hiding the real self by many egos is the misconception. Why it is a misconception? I thought does not exist. I thought does not have any reality as such. I thought does not have. I thought is a thought. It's not a reality. Neither objective nor subjective. Sometimes we become objective, sometimes we become subjective. So that is the major reason this master says, keep your mind on the binary format. Now I'm explaining again. The master says, keep your awareness on the binary format, so that at least you can recognize the egos, millions of egos. In my daily life, in my thoughts, in my speech, in my action, there is awareness behind the expression of ego by thought, speech, and action. That is always present. Binary format, that is consciousness, and the rest are matter. Because whatever is changing is matter. So when I'm attached, I lose awareness that it is changing. Okay, honey, I love you. Then I miss that it is also a matter I'm talking to. I lose that binary format, I enter into a triangular format. So master says, no way, you have to live into that while listening to me. This is what the master is saying. This is what. Then what happens? Now see, I'm deviating and then we'll come back. What happens? I am supreme consciousness. Even though I have spoken, there are no millions of egos. I go behind and I realize I am supreme consciousness. That is the result of the Shravanam. No misconceptions. If I have misconceptions, I have to repeat listening. If I do the repeat listening, that brings the clarity. And still I have a doubt, I practice meditation. That is the third step. Shravan, Manan, Nidhyas. So the moment I have a doubt, that is why I always say keep on practicing. Practice, but practice with clarity, with awareness, with understanding. Not as a habitual practice. Otherwise, this ego that is superimposed. This is what is the meaning of superimposition. Cops are not hugging the president while protecting him. They remain at a distance. So superimposition, protection in that space. Nothing happens to the president. Nothing changes in the president. While the cops are surrounding him, while the ego is surrounding us, while the impurities are surrounding. That is why we use the word superimposed. We don't say the real self mixed with the impurity. The real self never mixes. Why? Consciousness cannot mix with the matter. Consciousness and matter cannot be mixed up. How can you mix up? They two have totally different properties. It cannot be done. So instead of saying, oh, so we have to be very clear in defining the real self. Again, I'm saying that, reminding you, definition should be universally applicable. Then I got the knowledge. I have no doubt. I have no doubt. Now I know that I'm the real self. But what comes in between? The lot of confusion, misconceptions, impulsive nature, heavy conditioning by the society, by the culture, by the religion, and that's why we say we are not consciousness, we are ego. What is ego? I thought. What is I thought? Reflected consciousness. What is reflected consciousness? Moonlight. I mean, going back to the same thing. That is why I explained this. So we are, I'm going back again and come back. So we use the word that impure mind cannot know the real self. It means pure mind can know the real self? No, that pure mind should be qualified mind, or the intellect can know the real self. Okay, we said this. So then we said the intellect illumines the real self. So when we use this, we are using symbolically, we are using it metaphorically. I express the thought, I am real self. Not millions of ego comes to surround my mind. Once I said I am the real self, nothing comes to the mind, and that mind is the purest mind. It awakens, it realizes, yes. Again, the same thing in a simple way. We are talking with the binary format, one binary format. We are also talking of binary format. We have two eyes. So sometimes we forget the binary format, sometimes we forget the two eyes. Why? We already know it. Whose ignorance we remove? We remove the ignorance of the mind. We don't remove the ignorance of the real self. Why? It cannot be ignored. It doesn't live in ignorance. So that ignorance is superimposed. It is not the part and property of the consciousness. Simple example. I know this is mouse. I am is still there. That consciousness is still there. I know I don't know what is this. So whether I use I don't know this and I know this, in both the cases the consciousness is present. That consciousness is me. I am not that who claims I know the mouse. I am even not that when I say I don't know what is this. Such a beautiful, you can say intellectual exercise, but if we work as a seeker, the seeker expresses through the intellect that I am the real self, The moment it expresses, at the same time, it separates this I thought, it lives into that silence. In that silence, I recognize here is the second I, that is the real self. It happens. It happens in a fraction of a second. Ashtavakra says that realization happens here and now. Why you are spending so much of time, but it is definitely for the highest level of a seeker. So we were discussing last session that the Shravanam are of three types, which has 6 characteristics. That is the first type of the Shravanam. We have to repeat, we have to appreciate, or we have to glorify the real self. We have to glorify even the method of inquiry. Why we have to glorify? Because mind is already glorified by ignorance. We have to. I was telling this woman yesterday, she said that I'm a mother, I have 3 kids, they are well grown, and I invite them for a dinner, and my entire dinner went crazy, and they all were criticizing me even when I invited them for dinner, because I had a motherly heart. I said that is not the problem. Problem is the impurity of the mind. What is that impurity of the mind? Is that you have a lot of expectations in that dinner. So dinner plus expectation. So dinner you are giving, expectation you want to receive, and that is your ego. But now you offered the dinner, that is giving, you should have also offered love to them. That should have purified your mind. How simple. No, I did not understand. I said that's why you are learning from me. Step by step we will do it.
But not egoistic action, it's a very seldom situation.
What did you say?
Not egoistic action, it's happened very seldom.
Yes, that is what we have been learning, that there are millions of ego. So I hide my one ego of lot of expectations by offering dinner, by working hard and preparing for a dinner. So I prepared dinner for you. I invited you. Second ego. I made it with so much of pain and sweating. I brought all the stuff that you all liked. You see how many egos are there? Plus, I expect only one thing, at least you should say that I love you, Mom. American lifestyle is totally different, you know, nobody cares. Nobody cares. My goodness. So I said, how simple is the problem? But I don't have a right knowledge. I don't define myself. What is me? You see the problem? The problem is that I should define myself. I have a contradictory definition. Giving and the receiving. Giving and the demanding. How it is possible that you can live in peace and happiness? Not at all possible. We don't recognize this. And when you don't recognize this, then you are bound to suffer. No, I went into deep anxiety, and then, you know, I suffered, and I thought I should write to you. Yes, I'm here to absorb all your anxiety. So, such a simple way, but that simple way does not enter into our intellect as a knowledge, as a awareness, as an experience, because the mind is constantly surrounded by the corpse. I don't see myself. I have to be free from all these cops. So that is one type of the Shravanam. Master says that this type of the Shravanam must be very clear to my head. Listening, repeat listening, practice, so that my mind continues to find a new meaning, new essence, and every time you listen to it, your mind becomes clearer and clearer. When it becomes clear, that clarity is there, then he says second type of listening. All other masters says that Shravanam, they have explained from the right side of the heart, that is on. But he says that is important. But the first type of listening is that with the 6 characteristics that we understood last time. Now he says once the mind reaches to that state of purity, then you can apply the second type of listening. Otherwise, it remains at the intellectual level, at the informational level. What is that? We should understand the 3 states: waking, dream, sleep. We should understand the three bodies. We should also listen about the Panchkosha. Only that mind which is capable, we have achieved a particular state of Shravanam in the first state of listening, then comes the second state of listening. Otherwise, you have read hundreds of times that there are 5 koshas, there are 3 bodies, there is a satoguna, there is a rajoguna, there is a tamoguna. It does not make any difference. I only know that I should not live in tamoguna, and I wake up in the morning at 3 because I have to go to the restroom, and then again my mind says sleep. You have to work a lot the next day. My mind does not recognize this is the right time to sit into meditation. So because the first type of the Shravanam is not clear, the mind is not so clear. Oh, this is a good opportunity. The body has given me an opportunity to go to the restroom, to empty the bladder, and now sit. I wake up at 7, so I have now 4 hours. Let me sit, do all the practices, listen to it. That awareness only comes when we complete the first type of listening. Otherwise, that awareness does not come. That awareness does not come. Yesterday night I woke up at 2, and then I had to go to empty the bladder, return. And I said, I remember there is something not very clear from that talk of the master. So I just opened the talk and started listening for an hour before going into lying down and sleeping. Second type of the listening focuses on these different principles. They are models. Understand, they are simply models. They have nothing to do with the real self. But to reach to the real self, we use the models. Panchkosha, five sheet, 3 bodies, satoguna, rajoguna, tamoguna, and 3 states of the mind, and 4th is the turiya, means the 4th state of the consciousness. I am stressed. Now my mind goes to the Panchkosha. It has to do with the subtle body. That is the 3 bodies. But I instantly recognize it is a reflected consciousness. So mind was forcing me to achieve something which I could not achieve, causing me the stress. But the stress is unfounded, it lives in the mind, it does not live in me. Now I prevent millions of egos formation. I prevented it. Now I prevented it, and at the same time my mind says I am the real self. I settle into the real self, and that is awakening. That is the third type of the listening. So the master explains, this master is very see the clarity. So the master says in the third type of the listening, the master only says Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi means you are that. You heard it and you know you are. So that is the journey we are undertaking. That is the journey we are undertaking. Now, another model in which we understand that one is the direct knowledge. One is the indirect knowledge. Sorry. So, what is the indirect knowledge? I see you indirectly. Mind sees you indirectly. Why indirectly? Because my eyes comes in between. My eyes comes, you are as an object, our perception, and we can go to the physics and understand it easily. What we understand it easily, that the light falls in the retina. No, first the light falls on this object, if I am an object that you are watching and seeing, and then that image is formed through the same light in your retina. Then you have an idea that this guy is this because of the past memory. So that process takes place. We forget in which presence this entire process takes place. Science is okay. Science is good. Science is right. In the presence of the light, it is taking place. If there is no light, you cannot see me. No, but it is the external light. There is a light of consciousness moving from the eyes to you. It is the light of the consciousness. This outer light will not work. Outer light also works. It is required to recognize an object outside. But if the sense organ do not have a light of consciousness, then I cannot say I see you, you see me, I hear you, you hear me. Light of that consciousness is present in the mind. Whether you say it's a reflected consciousness or you say the right light of the consciousness, it doesn't make any difference. I only recognize that light of the consciousness passing through the mind, and the sense organ recognizes even any object of the world being superimposed on the real self. It's a long sentence, but result is I know I'm the real self. I know I'm the real self. That is what we are talking of awakening. That is what nothing changed outside. Light of the sunlight is there to see you and to see me. Functioning of the retina, the eyes are still working, and they are working in the field of the change. My mind is totally centered that whatever is changing is matter, but I see that everything is happening in the presence of that consciousness. Whether I'm stressed or I'm not stressed, I'm relaxed, it is happening in the field of consciousness. By understanding, no, by Shravanam, by listening and learning, now we come to another challenge that this mind poses us, so that our listening becomes very sharp, focused, and it brings the clarity to us. What is that? So we say there are two types of knowledge. We get into the mind. First type of the knowledge is worldly knowledge. Where is worldly knowledge? I have to come to you and to your country, and you showed me, you gave me the address, you told me this is the flight, the best flight, and at last that is the knowledge, intellectual conviction is there, this is how I have to reach to your country. So that is why we say we only have an information. I have to take action to realize that knowledge. So I have to take a flight, and then I have to take car ride and reaching to the airport, spending hours in plane and reaching to your country. So this worldly knowledge has two parts, theory and practice, principle and application. Because it has to cover a distance in a particular time. Journey of the self-discovery is just opposite. What we are searching, real self, it is already attained in me. I have to simply discover. That is why we say that we have to remove the ignorance by listening and learning. You cannot achieve. You need not to cover a distance. I always ask people how long it takes you to reach to yourself. How long it takes you to reach to your place of work. How long it takes you to reach to from one city to another city. If there is a time, there has to be a space. I have to cover that. I have to make an effort. Action is required. But here action is not required. It is already attained in me. I am the real self. Come on, if I am the real self, then what is the problem? The problem is misconception, wrong notions, ignorance. So when I am listening and learning, my mind is very clear. It is not creating any ego. It is not asking the wrong question in your head. It is calm and relaxed. Oh, it is already within me. That is one of the interesting points this master makes, that not in case of the Eastern wisdom, this is very important point that we should understand. So when there is an understanding, I have to find the real self, the mind and the body is instantly calm and relaxed. It moves deeper inside in that moment. Why? Because it is already at hand. It does not become so. Normally it does not become so. When we start the practice, sometimes we feel little bit of challenging, sometimes we feel it is good, someday we feel, oh, I have achieved success, the other day I feel, all right, today I failed, I had lot of the thoughts. The story becomes true. Story becomes true. We have to recognize what is happening, where is happening. Here the knowledge gives you the result there and then. So there is no theory and practice. You cannot say it is information and application. You cannot say it is an information and application. So we have to give some word. We have given the word ignorance. We have given the word delusion. We have created a model Maya. Everything works. And that is why we say no action can help you realize and awaken to the real self. This is what the Buddha also saying, that he says in an indirectly way, mindfulness is an effortless and natural process. Because the mind lives in ignorance, it takes being natural totally in an opposite way. Last year, I think I told you that on Facebook somebody texted me, the mindfulness is an effortless and a natural process. What is natural? Lions are living naked, that is natural to them. Do you want to live like that? Don't distort what is natural. Only natural in the world is consciousness. Don't give me the wrong definition of being natural. Cows eat grass, so it is natural, so let me also eat grass. So we distort because of misconception and ignorance. And that is why listening and learning is very important. I told you this story. That is where that story comes. I told you the story of 10 students who were asked by the master to beg the food from the nearby village. They had to cross the river. They crossed the river, and the master pointed to them that you have to be sure that all the 10 people should return to the monastery. And they start counting, and they found there is only 9. You see, which is already attained. And the monk was passing by. I think I told you that story. Now that story fits here into the Shravanam. Because the mind is so much hijacked by the objective reality, the objective world, it wants to search the real self as an object, which is not possible. So when the master says you are the real self, where? What is the color? What is the shade? No, it has no color and shade. Because you are searching outside in the objective world. The moment you say you are which color, which shade, no, I experience the God in my meditation, that is also objective. You are not searching God, you are going into hallucination. Or if you are using that God to help your mind, to sharpen it, to purify it, God is always kind and compassionate. So you are using that image of a God to help yourself to keep away from the ego. Good. But if you're using that as a hallucinative image, it is going to harm you. That is why you check, you read the current kundalini masters. They will always talk about their experiences. We want to know who the hell I am. I don't want to know experiences. The experiences are constantly changing. It is not me. You can find out. Hardly 1 or 2 rare masters, they move to that level. They declare that even the Kundalini meditation or the Kundalini yoga aims at realization of the real self. They are simply talking of matter and the consciousness. Now this power is constantly changing. It is bringing such a great vibrations. The science can create a system or an application or a gadget, and it should be placed into your spine so you can get the same kind of vibrations all the time. Will that mean that Kundalini is awakened? We should be very authentic. We should be very clear. This is what happens in massage. This is what happens in acupressure. This is what happens in acupuncture. So our mind must be pure to recognize. So we are very happy with those experiences. It is not more than going on a vacation and doing no business and relaxing. You will always feel those vibrations. I can bet you. You simply go on vacation means you keep your mind vacated. You will feel those vibrations because mind is now not concerned, worried, running. You are simply relaxing. So you are more aware of the body. So you have those vibrations. But I'm not undermining that journey. It is required. because it is a part of the Eastern wisdom, so it is required. So I have to see to whom it is required. Whether it is required for me? No. Yes. I should do it. No. I should leave it. My intellect is very sharp. I can do the self-inquiry. My mind is fairly pure. Now see, you have that state of the mind. And now you are entering into the kundalini meditation. Yes, if you have certain challenges with the body and the mind and you see that it is working and you are not attached to it, do it. But that state of the well-being is there, you need not to do it. You pay more time, you spend more time in contemplation and reflection. That is how we have to personalize. That is how we have to understand. Shravanam, we are talking the Shravanam. The first Shravanam, I made it very clear. You should remember, and more you listen and make it very clear. The first type of the Shravanam is very important. That takes me to the second type of the Shravanam, that is means now I will follow the model. So once I have followed the model for a particular length of time, the mind keeps on removing the impurities. What do we find in three states? Waking, dream, and sleep. So the mind will remind you there is a fourth state that is beyond all this. What we do learn by the three bodies, the real self is present behind all the three bodies. Model, you see that? The mind is further purified. I am not the physical, subtle, causal. I am none of these five koshas, the mind. Then who am I? I am Satchidanand, I am pure consciousness. So the mind is saturated with this thought, preventing millions of ego to enter into our mind. Mind recognizes that it is already attained. We enter into the third level of the Shravanam. Mostly all the Upanishads that you might have studied talks about the third type of the Shravanam. We simply get some information by reading it. We have not reached to the first two types of the Shravanam. That's why it is not bringing the result. So then we say it is all wrong. I did not achieve that. Mostly all the Upanishads, they talk indirectly. They talk directly that you are the Supreme Consciousness. Now they even remove the binary format. So to reach to that state, I have to continue this journey. Yeah, Pratipadya, that which is to be revealed. Pratipadaka, that is what I have already explained in terms of I gave an example that I have to come to your country. So that knowledge is theory and I have to apply this into practice. But here there is no theory and practice. Why? It is already attained. I have not to cover a distance in time and space. So I am preparing my mind. I am preparing for my mind to that state. That is important. That is the rule of the Shravanam. We'll talk about the Mananam also. We'll compare it so that the mind is clear. Never forget the story of the cops and president, and that will help our mind to become mature.